They told me the French had abandoned the tunnels. That was the word passed down. They'd collapsed half of them during the retreat, booby-trapped the rest. But some still ran beneath no man's land like the veins of a rotting animal, uncommand. Wanted maps, so they sent me. Obergefreiter, Luca, Sapper, and Scout, 22nd Bavarian Infantry. Good boots, steady hands, quiet disposition. Perfect for going where no one else would. The entrance was a half-buried hatch behind what used to be a church. The cross was still nailed to the ruins, just barely. It watched me as I went down. The air hit me like a damp slap, old water, rusted iron, burnt powder, smelled like the war's breath, the kind of smell that settles in your teeth. The tunnel dropped, steep, narrow. My lamp caught brickwork, wires, warped wooden planks. Names carved into the walls beneath. Jean Henry, men long gone, their signatures already sweating off the stone. I was told to patrol 10 sectors and mark the safe routes. I was told I'd be alone no more than 36 hours. But there's no time down there. No sun, no sound, only the drip of water on water, and the echo of your own steps that don't always come back the same. The first hours were fine. I chalked markers as I went, notched beams, logged junctions. But the silence, that silence is not like surface silence. It doesn't rest. It presses. You start to listen for things that aren't there. A breath behind your shoulder. A boot in the puddle just ahead. Your own heartbeat gets confused for company. At the 3rd sector, the floor dipped into knee-high water. Not mud, just cold, clean. Flood water, still as glass. But something floated in it. Paper, a field journal, German, half-melted. Cover peeled away like wet skin. I lifted it. The last entry was just one word, Zurich return. No date, no name, just that. I waited for a moment, standing still as the walls around me, and I realized something. The water wasn't still. Not anymore. It was rippling, slowly, rhythmically, like it was breathing. I didn't turn back. I should have. That word in the journal, Zurich, should have been enough. But soldiers don't disobey orders because they feel strange. And I'd walked too far to retreat with nothing. So I kept going. The tunnel sloped down, water now at my thighs. My boots, once dry and waxed, squelched with each step. I stopped feeling my feet around the 4th junction. Too cold or too long. There was no sound but the water. No rats, no creaks, no distant shelling above, just drip, drip, drip. I marked each crossing with chalk. But somewhere between the 6th and 7th marker, I noticed something. My chalk was gone. Not broken, not lost. Gone. I reached into the pouch where I kept 3 pieces, and it was empty. All 3 vanished. That's when I turned and saw the markings on the wall. 3 sets. Not mine. Not chalk. Scratched up one was fresh. Still crumbling dust from the grooves. The markings weren't words. Not French. Not German. Not Roman script. At all. Just long, deep slashes, curving and intersecting like someone trying to write underwater. They made my teeth itch just looking at them. I moved on quickly after that. But the water, it started to change. It had been clear, cold and clean, despite the rot. Now it carried things, strips of cloth, a cigarette tin, a canteen with teeth marks in the leather strap, things that looked like someone had dropped them yesterday. But when I touched them, they dissolved like ash dot. My lantern began to flicker. I'd brought 2 spare wicks and oil enough for 3 days. But already the flames seemed unsure. like it was afraid of being seen. At the 8th junction, I stopped. There was a door, not a wooden trench, real door, iron half-rusted, riveted shut from my side. It was German issue. I recognized the pattern, but we'd never built doors like that in French. Tunnels that there were scratches on it, not like someone trying to get in, like someone trying to get out. Something about the door it hummed, faint under the silence. I put my hand to it cold. I pressed my ear to the steel, and I heard breathing, not mine. I slept, if you can call it that, in a dry alcove off the main passage, dreamed of a voice calling my name from a mile away, not shouting, not urgent, just inviting. Lucas, soft, female, familiar, my mother's voice, I think, but I haven't heard it in 10 years. When I woke, the lamp was dark, but I could still see. A faint blue glow shimmered in the water ahead. Not fire, not sunlight, just light, as if the tunnel itself remembered something. I followed it without thinking. 1 step, then 2. Then I slipped, went under. The water was deeper than I thought, impossibly deep, and as I sank, something moved beneath me, not touching, not grabbing, just waiting. When I broke the surface again, I wasn't in the same place. The walls were smoother, older. The ceiling bore carvings, not markings, letters. A language I didn't know, but that filled me with cold. Recognition. My lamp was still lit beside me, but I never remembered relighting it. That was yesterday. I think time's gone thin, like air stretched too far. I feel watched, not hunted, not threatened, witnessed, and I haven't seen my own reflection in the water for hours, only someone else's face. There is no time here, no hunger, no sleep, no rest, only intervals, moments stitched together by the dim cough of the lamp and the water's endless voice. It speaks softly now, not in words, in suggestion, in the way the ripples follow me, even when I don't move. I've stopped marking the walls. They change behind me. The same arch, the same slope, the same cracks, but never quite in the same place. When I turn back, I think I've been walking in circles, but not on the same path, as if the tunnel rearranges itself when I close my eyes. Sometimes I pass through the door again, the one with the iron rivets and clawed scratches. Even though I never turned back, I saw a man yesterday, or I think I did, a soldier, German, helmet down over his brow. His uniform was soaked to the bone. He stood in the distance, just past the lamplight, like a photograph left too long in a cellar, faded round the edges, smeared in the middle. I called to him, "Comrade, Obergefritter, Rilke, 22nd Bavarian." He didn't move, but the water near. His feet rippled toward me, and I understood he hadn't heard his name in years, and he didn't remember if he still had one. I set camp in a crumbled munitions chamber, empty crates, rusted shovels, old gas masks, lenses fogged from within. I looked into one of the mask eyes and saw a reflection. It was not mine, it smiled. I did not. When I sleep, I don't rest. I travel through tunnels older than war, through rooms carved from bone and stone. Sometimes the ground is lined with rifles, others just teeth, and the sound I wake to its tapping. Not Morse, not quite, but a rhythm I almost know, like someone knocking on the underside of the world, trying to be let back in. I found something today, A body-German uniform, face down, in the water, hands shriveled, skin bloated. But when I turned him over, I saw the collar tab, 22nd Bavarian, my unit. I opened his paybook, still tucked in his breast pocket. Name, Lukas, Rilke. My name, my handwriting, my face, but older, wetter, dead, I dropped it. I ran. My lamp burst as I stumbled on uneven stone. The flames sizzled in the black water. Darkness swallowed the walls, but I could still see, not with eyes, with memory, with something else. The path ahead was waiting, and behind me, I heard someone begin to walk step by step, boots echoing through water I could no longer feel since then. I haven't been alone. I hear them, behind me, beside me, breathing with me, or through me. Sometimes I speak out loud just to hear my own voice, to remember that it's still mine. But now, I'm not so sure. I saw the man again, closer this time. He looked like me. He smiled, and I smiled back. There is no end to the tunnel. I know that now it is not a place, not anymore. It is a shape. A thought. It loops when I am tired. It straightens when I try to rest. It coils tighter when I resist. Sometimes I feel it listening, not with ears, with awareness, like it leans closer when I speak, like it breathes when I breathe. I stopped lighting the lamp. The dark shows more than the flame ever did. Walls made of ribs and stone, mud carved into faces that mouth silent prayers, a ceiling that breathes with a pulse too slow for any living thing. I walked for hours or minutes. The measure doesn't matter now. And then I reached the room, a chamber sunken beneath a crooked arch. The air there was warm, wet, like breath on a mirror. Dozens of soldiers sat in the mud, kneeling, hunched, resting against the walls, some in French blues, others in British khaki, a few in German grey, but none moved, none breathed. Their eyes were open, glassy with the sheen of stagnant water, their mouths slightly ajar, not in terror, in waiting. At the centre of them all was the machine, a field telegraph rusted, cracked, but humming faintly. Its coil still looped through their boots and arms, its key still damp with fingerprints. It tapped once, then again, then stopped. I stepped closer. Slowly, my boot touched the wire, and I felt it, not electricity, not memory. Recognition. You have come far, the voice said. It didn't speak aloud. It arrived somewhere inside my thoughts, folding over my memory like a blanket pulled too tight. You heard us long before the war. You listened before the wire was ever laid. You know us, though you forgot. I tried to speak, but my tongue had gone soft, so I thought instead. What are you? It answered. The breath between orders, the silence before a man dies, the signal that waits for ears to open. Then it showed me, not with light, with remembrance. I saw myself in the trench years ago, tapping messages to a comrade who never answered. I saw another me called, alone in a forest listening post, surrounded by whispers that knew his name. I saw myself again, different times, different wars, always listening, always drawn. I was not the first Lukas Rilke to walk this tunnel, only the latest, only the next. We do not hunt, we do not take. You came, you followed the sound, you answered the silence. And now you must choose. At my feet, one of the seated soldiers blinked. His lips moved. He looked up at me, not in pain, not in fear, just tired. He held out the telegraph key, not to scare me, to offer. I stepped back. I ran, I don't remember how far. The tunnel stretched and twisted, walls bending inward like a throat. Something followed me. Not footsteps, not hands, just awareness. Like the feeling when someone watches you in a dream, and you realize the dream is theirs now. As I sit in a hollow carved from earth and grief, I write this with hands I no longer trust, because the voice hasn't left. It speaks now, even in waking. It tells me that the surface is not real, that the sky was always a lie, that I was born listening, and I will die speaking. And I think I believe it. They found me 3 weeks after the flood receded, or so they said. I woke in a medical tent north of the line, fevered, raving, my skin pale and soft as paper. They said I'd been missing for 12 days, but I remembered longer. They brought in an officer to question me, German, stern, smelled like tobacco and iron polish. He asked what happened in the tunnel. I tried to answer. I said there was no tunnel. I said, it isn't underground, it's inside. He frowned, told me I was to be discharged. They wrote hallucination on my report. Isolation, sickness, water, exposure, concussion, stress. They always have names for things they cannot name. They took my clothes, burned them, I think. But they missed something. My fingers, they still move in rhythm, even now. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short, not Morse, not exactly, something older. I left the army with my name intact, my rank, my rations, my discharge papers, but something else left with me. It speaks less now, but it remembers, at night, when the wind hisses through the broken chimney. I hear the signal return, soft, patient, still waiting. I live far from others now, in the hills above the Rhine. No wires, no lamps, no clocks, but the rhythm remains. My hands still twitch when it rains. I can't walk near water anymore. I see faces in puddles, not mine, theirs. I once passed through Munich on a cold autumn night. A boy ran past me in the street, laughing, tapping a stick along the iron fence. Tap dash tap dash tap, tap dash tap dash tap dash. I froze, because the rhythm was perfect, not a child's game, a message. I turned, looked for him, but he was already gone. The dead don't always stay beneath. Sometimes they learn to speak through us, through rhythm, through memory, through listening. The war is over, but the tunnel is not. It waits beneath every silence, not for everyone, just for those who know the sound, the shape, the invitation. You do hear it, don't you? Now that it's quiet, now that you're alone, there, in the stillness between these words, it's calling, again. Tap, 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 the signal beneath.